Hejka moje babeczki, witam was na kolejnym odcinku. Nie odcinku, tylko hejka babeczki, witam was na następnym live'iczku. Live'ik dzisiaj jest taki, no bo mi się nudzi i tak dalej, tak? Będzie oczywiście loso. Będzie. I to nie będzie takie jak tamto, czyli to nie będzie Stringerda. Tylko no jakby to powiedzieć, no nie wiem. Aha. Dobra, nie. Ja się wyciszam, obejrzyjcie swój mama. Ja muszę chwilę. Tak.
Greg, could you be related to Roderick Heffley?
Story time about how my crazy sister tried to steal my husband and my child while I was in the army. My sister and I have always been competitive our entire lives. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Send me an Instagram. Her actually didn't grow up together. We don't have the same mother. We actually met when we were teenagers, which is not a good time to meet your sister because you're already very insecure at that time. She was always a little bit insecure about her looks, and it got a lot worse when she met me. She was always comparing herself to me and asking my dad which one of us he thought was prettier. My dad, of course, would get really upset and tell her not to be like that, but I could tell that she was always judging me. Sometimes she would make fun of the way I dressed, and if I ever wore a tank top or a crop top, she would call me McChubby. Mind you, I am not chubby at all, and even if I was, it's still so wrong to call someone that. Fast forward 10 years later, I married the man of my dreams. We have a really good relationship and a 1-year-old. I joined the army straight out of high school, and I really love it. We finally got pregnant after 3 years of trying. I was told I was going to be stationed away for 2 months. My husband luckily has a job where he can work from home, and my mother lives really close to us, so I knew I was leaving the baby in good hands. My husband luckily supports me in everything I want to do, so he didn't have a problem with this. I would see my sister from time to time, but we never really hung out or anything. She never really made an effort to meet our baby either. Last I'd heard, she'd been in a really bad relationship. Apparently, she even had to get a restraining order, and she had to move back home to live with my dad. When I finally ended up going overseas, my husband and I would Zoom every single day. This is when things took a dark turn. My husband told me that my sister came by one day to visit, and that she was full on flirting with him, telling him how good looking he is. Part 2 is up. Part 2.
Charles. Oddech bliżej.
Two of how my sister tried to steal away my husband and my baby when I was stationed away. My husband told me that she came over and started flirting with him. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Send me on Instagram. He asked me what he should do, and I told him to just act like normal. A few days later, my husband tells me that my sister comes over with a tray of lasagna, which she knows is his favorite dish. And here's the worst part. She brought a thong bikini and sat by the pool for hours. Apparently, she wanted to get a tan. Then she asked him if they could watch a movie together, but my husband made up an excuse saying that he had to get back on his laptop for work. He even took a video of her while she was lounging in the pool, and we both laughed at it. A few days after that, he tells me she comes over crying. Apparently, some guy wouldn't leave her alone, so she asked him if she could sleep over because she didn't feel safe. She decided to walk around the house in her underwear and an oversized t-shirt. But here's what really got to me. Apparently, she was making an effort to get to know the baby, so she would go out of her way to feed him and play with him. And out of nowhere, the baby calls her mama. She never made an effort to see the baby when I was there. So why was she making an effort now? Then my sister sent me a picture of my husband and the baby asleep on the couch. And she sends me another message saying, "Your husband is so beautiful." Part 3 is Part 3 of how my sister tried to steal away my husband and my baby when I was stationed away. After she sent me the picture of my baby and my husband sleeping on the couch, I asked her what she was doing there. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, sent me on Instagram. Then she had the audacity to tell me that she just wanted to help my husband out. I told her that he didn't need any help and that she could leave the house. That's when she asked me if I was insecure about her being around my husband since she's so attractive. As soon as she said that, I tried calling her, but she wouldn't answer. Then she decided to ignore my phone calls and messages for 2 days. So I called my husband and told him what she said. The first thing he did was reassure me and told me that I had nothing to worry about and that he would tell her to leave himself. I didn't want her to start any drama in front of the baby, so I told my husband to just let her stay another night. Instead, I called my dear dad and I told him everything that she was doing. I even told my dad that he needed to go pick her up right away. My dad didn't even question me, he just went to get her. He knew exactly what she was like. 30 minutes later, I get a phone call from my husband laughing his head off. He tells me my dad came into the house and told her that she needed to leave with him. When she refused, my dad simply grabbed her by the arm and dragged her out of the house. And on the way out, he could hear my dad asking her what she thought she was doing. He even told her to stop walking around in her underwear around my husband. I only wish I could have seen it myself. But it doesn't end there. My sister decided to sneak out of my dad's house and back to mine. And this time she wore lingerie underneath a coat. When he opens the door, she takes off the coat, revealing the lingerie. My husband politely asked her to leave, but she said she knew he wanted her. Then he just shut the door in her face. I got home a few weeks after that and I confronted my sister. She told me that I'm a bad wife for leaving my husband and my child, and that eventually he's gonna end up cheating on me. She denies having come to the house with the lingerie on. How should I handle the situation? Should I tell my dad or just let it go? Story time about how I became obsessed with or anything. She never really made an effort to meet our baby.
No, but I am happy.
Live with my dad. When I finally ended up going overseas, my husband and I would Zoom every single day. This is when things took a dark turn. My husband told me that my sister came by one day to visit and that she was full on flirting with him, telling him how good looking he is. Part 2 is up. Part 2
tych spodniach? Czad! Tej kurtce?
Fajna!
No serio, skąd wzięłaś forsę na tę stylówę?
Tak, gadaj.
O, chcę być bogaty.
Okej, powiem wam, ale nie chcę, żebyście się krzywili. Nie, spoko.
Bez oceny.
Nie umiem oceniać. Nie nauczyłem się.
Nagrywam filmiki na Siemanello.
Oceniam
za
cię.
ciebie.
Hej, dzieci!
Cześć, mamo. Babciu.
Tata i ja chcemy z wami porozmawiać na ważny i osobisty temat.
Boimy się.
Więc zapłaciliśmy celebrycie z Siemanello, żeby wam to powiedział.
Ej, ale co?
Obejrzyjcie ten filmik. La, 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 la.
Cześć dzieci Angeli i Hermana. Tu burzomózg z niebezpiecznego oddziału. Mam was uświadomić, kiedy mężczyzna i kobieta bardzo się kochają.
Wyłącz ten filmik. Basta.
Dzieci, wiem, że to jest niezręczne, ale wytrzymajcie!
My już wiemy, skąd się biorą bliźniaki.
Nie uświadamiaj nas.
O, czyli niepotrzebnie wydaliśmy $850.
850 dolarów?
Tak, ale była promocja. Burzomózg zwykle bierze tysiaka. Herman, gdzie ty jesteś?
Wchodzimy do Siemanella?
Tak, i...
Cześć, uczniaki! No co? Odwróć ją skórkę, zjedz, tak się właśnie w pizzę je! Potem ser, potem sos. A co wy tacy bogaci jesteście?
Siema!
Na cały głos!
Co?
Siemanello płaci znanym ludziom za wysyłanie wiadomości.
Nie mówcie, że to robicie.
Siemanello!
Żarty sobie robicie?
Dzięki za wkręcenie mnie. Wreszcie spłaciłem kredyt studencki.
Nie ma za co!
Jesteś w Siemanello, nie jesteś celebrytą.
Na Siemanello. Jestem Kupidyn.
Hello!
To jest miłosna wiadomość, ha? Od Chrisa dla Majka.
To idiotyczne, kto by za to płacił?
Przecież mówię. Chris i...
Ścios jest tam najpopularniejszy.
Nie!
Zobacz tabelę. Jest na szczycie.
Dobra, jak mam się sprzedać na Siemanello?
Zaimportuj apkę.
Zaimportuję głupi Joey Lores i ta jego głupia szczęka. Głupi ścios nie może być na pierwszym miejscu, dlatego ludzie nie powinni mieć prawa głosu.
O, no dawaj, brachu.
Pokonam cię, ścios! Obiecuję ci! A ja nigdy nie łamię obietnic! Kości? Jasne.
Robimy zawody?
Serca? Co dzień?
Czyli to zawody.
Zęby? Chyba wszyscy znamy odpowiedź?
Powiedziałam, że robimy zawody!
Zawsze była taka zażarta.
6 lat temu zażartowałem, że powiem więcej razy paluszki,
Paluszki
rybne.
rybne.
Teraz jak mówię paluszki,
Paluszki rybne.
ona też mówi paluszki,
Paluszki rybne, ścigamy się w Siemanello? Ja już się ścigam. Hej Omar, pisarz na ciebie nakrzyczał. To słabo, brachu, nie krzyczy się na ludzi. Cześć Sabrina, to ja, Wrzeszczka. Zamierzam na ciebie nawrzeszczeć. Hej Winston, tutaj twoja Volt, pseudo Iskierka, pseudo Błyskawica.
Dzień dobry, pani Feldstein. Tu Wagar i mam wiadomość.
Hej, wstaw tu swoje imię. Tutaj burzomózg, który życzy ci burzomózgiej barmicwy.
Nie martw się, Conan, dzisiejsze nagranie pójdzie spoko. Powiedz Andiemu, by się wyluzował. Będzie wiedział, o co biega. Niech ci iskrzy.
Ona jest jak automat.
Nie damy jej wygrać.
Ja jej właśnie daję wygrać.
Nie!
Zaczyna nową
Co tam, Gaperman? Tu twoja elektrolaska Volt. Zwykle ludzie nie kupują tego dla siebie, więc żal mi cię. Ona nie może wygrać. Coś ci się pomyliło i chyba kliknęłaś jakiś przycisk. Au! No to jest Mika. Nie dam ci wygrać, czapa.
Za dużo chyba tych imion.
Zamknij się, Miles!
To już 3.
Przedstawiamy się?
Co?
Jestem boss.
Ej, nie. Co ty robisz?
Pauzuje się Manello. To było na maksa złe.
Czapa zawaliła filmik, wysłać!
Nie do
Super!
Zostaw!
Jestem kapitanem, wysyłam listę!
Nie!
A teraz wystarczy wcisnąć wyślij. Zaraz zobaczysz, kto będzie numer 1. Jej! Dlaczego tylko ja się śmieję?
Bo w tym filmiku odsłoniliśmy nasze tożsamości.
W jednym filmiku? Ale mega głupota!
To była wiadomość dla Mary Gaperman.
Tej wesołej prezenterki z wiadomości.
Jeszcze gorzej!
Dlaczego się śmiejesz?
By ukryć ból! by ukryć ból!
Intensywny smak i aromat przypraw Kamis, teraz także w wygodnych słoiczkach.
We can slow dance naked in the moonlight. We can get so damn wasted out of our minds until we're happy. Until we're happy. Whether it's good or it's bad or it's wrong or it's right. Yeah, we can quit our day jobs and stay out all night until we're happy. Until we're happy. Until we're happy.
Certo, esse aqui não é meu tom de pele.